Hi everyone, Misilla here, Learn to Grow. I hope that you guys are having a great day. So just a quick video today on pruning your tomatoes. And I'm actually out here with our littlest one, so I'm going to make this video quick. But anyways, I actually stopped pruning cherry tomatoes because when you leave the suckers on, you'll get more tomatoes. But if you don't want your plants to get really wild and crazy, it's advised that you do prune them back or prune the suckers off and the lower leaves. So I will show that to you guys with these tomatoes in these 15-gallon containers. And I hope that you guys find this video helpful. Thanks for watching. So I only prune indeterminate type of tomatoes. I think most people do the same and not prune determinate tomatoes because determinate tomatoes will put on a flush of fruit once through the season within about a 2-week range, and then that's it, they're done producing fruits. Now for indeterminate type of tomatoes, they'll produce until the first day of frost. And also with the determinate type of tomatoes, they don't usually get as tall and big. So a lot of these are dwarf type tomatoes, which can grow to about 4 or 5 feet tall, and some are even much smaller, such as the micro dwarf tomatoes. So the indeterminate types can grow to about 10 feet if you let it, maybe even 12 from other people I've seen. So pruning them can help maintain its size, also prevent diseases. And for bigger types of tomatoes like beefsteak and such, will also put the energy back to ripening and growing those big tomatoes. Now with cherry type tomatoes, as I mentioned earlier, I stopped pruning off most of the suckers because I end up with more tomatoes anyway, and we eat them pretty fast. So, and we harvest them often. So this one's pretty much all pruned. These are both Sungold tomatoes, and I want to show you how it looks like from the bottom up. So the first 12 inches from the bottom up is all pruned. There are no leaves and no suckers growing. And then I just kind of let the plant grow. So this plant's about 5 feet tall right now. And I do remove some of the leaves that are crossing in between, which will allow airflow. And I have not pruned any suckers. I've only taken one, which I am propagating to grow another tomato plant. So this one looks pretty good. As you can see, it'll get proper airflow and light in there. And this one needs to be pruned back. So this one's kind of starting to get wild. And the bottom part I've already kind of pruned. It looks like this one needs to be taken off. So just make sure your hands are clean. And when I remove the leaves and the sucker, I usually just pinch them off, or you can use a clean pair of scissors. For the leaves, I just bend it up and then back, and it snaps right off. And also, if you see any leaves with black spots or yellowing, you can go ahead and remove those leaves. That way, if it's a disease, it will not spread the disease to the rest of the plants. So again, I am not pinching off any suckers. I'm going to just go ahead and remove some of the leaves. The plant is pretty much established. So usually you want to grow a lot of the leaves in the beginning, since now the focus is on fruit production. We don't need as much leaves, although of course you want to leave some so it can photosynthesize. So I will go ahead and remove this one that's inside so we can let some air in there and light. So that looks pretty good. There's some green tomatoes in there, right there. These stakes are 6 feet tall, so I'm going to just let the plants grow all the way to the top, and then I'll most likely just top them off and prune them back. This variety here is called Bloody Butcher. It is an heirloom tomato and also an early maturing variety, which is great because our growing season here in the Pacific Northwest is kind of short and moderately cool. So I've read that it's supposed to bear fruit within about 8 weeks after transplanting. Now, even though it is an indeterminate tomato, I'm not pruning off the suckers as well on this one because the fruits are kind of small. They grow to about 2 inches across. So I'm just going to go ahead and just let it do its thing. And I did already prune some of the leaves that were growing in the middle to let some light and air. Now, I'm not saying not to prune your indeterminate tomatoes. I do recommend pruning, especially for the bigger varieties. That way, again, that the energy can revert back to producing big, healthy fruits. I'm just sharing what has worked for me, and leaving the suckers on the smaller type of tomatoes have increased my yields in the past 3 years. So if you do decide to leave the suckers on, just make sure to trellis up your plants. That way It'll allow airflow and light. And if your plants start to look out of control and start to look too bushy, then do prune some of the suckers off and some leaves. And also providing support such as tomato cages, trellises, or garden stakes is beneficial instead of letting your plants grow on the ground, which will make them more susceptible to pests and diseases. So these are just simple trellises or stakes. These are bamboo stakes. It's like a U shape, and I just tie them together. And what I do is just tie up some of the stems onto the garden stakes with twine. See that? That way the plants don't fall all over the place. So same thing with these tomato cages. And I picked these up at Fred Meyer's. So this is kind of neat. You can expand these, and got my stems tied up to the trellises as they grow. And I do that until the tomatoes grow past the top of the stakes. So I'm going to let this grow. Well, I hope that you guys found this video helpful, and thank you so much for joining me today. Let me know what kind of tomatoes you are growing. So I'm sticking to the small varieties because they do so much better here in our climate. And again, these are Sungold tomatoes, Bloody Butcher. I also have a Patio tomato. I think it's over there. Does not need any trellising. It's a pretty small type. They grow to about 2 feet tall, and some micro dwarf varieties this year. Have a great day, everyone, and happy gardening. One last tip, remember vegetables, fruits, and herbs do best in full sun. At least 6 hours or more is even better. They'll be more productive for you and less susceptible to diseases and or pests.